Today, it is an honor for me to join by Chris Canetti, who's the president of the Houston FIFA World Cup bid committee that was successful in bringing the World Cup to Houston in 2026. And he was also the former president of the Houston Dynamo and Dash 19 season as a MLS club executive. Thank you so much for joining today. Chris, how is it going?
It's going great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to interview today. And I'm sure it was such a big moment. Obviously, when it was announced Houston would be a host city, I saw pictures of the watch party, and obviously it means a lot for the city. Probably the biggest event I think Houston is going to host. So I'm sure you must have been really nervous before that. Would you say it would be probably like a sense of relief when it was announced that Houston was ultimately going to be a host?
Oh, there was a huge sense of relief. There was excitement. There was pride. Kind of filled with lots of different emotions in that moment. But you're absolutely right. It was nerve-wracking and scary to stand there and hope that our name got called as a city. So there's no doubt that this is going to be the largest sporting event perhaps to ever take place in the world. So that makes it the largest sporting event ever to come to Houston. It meant a lot for our city. And I'm so happy that FIFA chose Houston and that we're going to be able to have the World Cup here in 2026.
Yeah, I'm definitely really thrilled, really excited for that moment when it comes around. But what's the plan now until 2026? What's like the committee I'm going to be working on to make it ultimately a success here in Houston?
Yeah, great question. We were named a host city, believe it or not, 6 weeks ago today. And, so we're still excited and happy about the news, but we're already off and running. We've been working on this already for the last 6 weeks. But now we're part of the FIFA organization, if you will. We're one of 16 cities here in North America where World Cup matches will be played. So we're working very closely with FIFA on all the different things that were discussed and planned over the course of the bid process, which lasted 3.5 years. So we're in the earliest stages of planning here. Putting our organization together, building it up, raising some funds, working with FIFA, and initially getting the planning underway.
Yeah, hopefully it will be a success. And obviously, again, for Houston, just it's such a great moment for the city. But what's kind of the process behind it for getting the city a nomination in the first place? Like, how did it kind of all work out in the beginning?
Yeah, so Houston was aggressive and proactive in wanting to be a host of a World Cup in 2026. We had tried to be part of the group in 2018 and 2022, but unfortunately those World Cups ended up in Russia and
Yeah.
Qatar. So it's been a long journey to try to bring the World Cup to Houston. So we put our name in the mix. We luckily made it to the final round of 17 cities looking to take the 10 spots, which ended up being 11 spots. And we worked very hard over the course of the last several years to showcase Houston as a great city, as a market that does well when it comes to hosting major sporting events, whether it's Super Bowls or Final Fours or major international soccer events, and just proving that we're a city that's not only deserving of hosting an event like this, but capable of hosting an event like this and delivering really positive, solid results for FIFA. So that's really the way we went about it from day one. And it's awesome to bring this event here, but at the end of the day, we're really driven to ensure that the World Cup plays a role in helping to make Houston a better place. We hope that once the final whistles blow and the game is over and all the excitement has moved on, that we've been able to use this event in many different ways to like I said, leverage it and help create a better place for us to live here in a community called Houston.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it before, like how Houston's hosted some really big events like the Super Bowl. I remember in 2017 when it really helped Houston in a lot of ways. And it really made Houston a better city. But what else, what else did you want to showcase to FIFA about Houston that would make it a really great host? Because I interviewed the former president of the Texans, Jamie Roots, and he said it's pretty easy to promote Houston because of how great of a city it is. Obviously, the diversity that we have here, but what did you want to specifically showcase to FIFA?
Yeah, no, Jamie's a good friend of mine, and he's absolutely right in those points. But we wanted to show FIFA that Houston was capable in hosting this event. The World Cup is the most popular, prestigious sporting event in the world. There's a lot of different qualities that a city needs to bring to the table to be able to successfully host it. And we wanted to be sure that FIFA understood that Houston has exactly what it takes to make this work for them. That includes 2 international airports. That includes our location in terms of being centrally located in North America to move teams, to move players in and around not only the U.S. but in and out of Mexico and Canada, where there will be matches as well. We wanted to showcase the great facility we had in NRG Park, which of course includes NRG Stadium and the arena and the conference center. We wanted to also be sure that they understood that we had a retractable roof, and that we were going to be able to play in climate controlled conditions here in the summer of 2026. But we also want to showcase what a great community we have. You mentioned the diversity and things that Jamie brought up, but we're a community with a lot of spirit, a lot of ability to work together and to mobilize in key moments to make things happen. And bringing this event here is a key moment, and it will require the work, the effort, the collaboration, and the enthusiasm of an entire community to make it successful. And we know we have that here in Houston. And that was one of the many things that we wanted FIFA to see and feel, so that they would feel confident to select us.
Yeah, and I think Houston is going to be a great city. I think they're ready for it, and that's why it's a perfect host city. But who did you kind of contact in FIFA? Who are the kind of people that you've spoken to and kind of made connections with to help share to help share the city of Houston?
Yeah, well, FIFA had a whole team of people working on this. I would say 25 to 30 different individuals. There's lots of different elements to this. You've got the stadium, you've got commercial rights, you've got safety, security, you've got the fan fest, you've got human rights and sustainability, legal, many different aspects to this. So there was lots of points of contact at FIFA. We were also engaged with CONCACAF, obviously who governs our region of soccer, and U.S. soccer as well. So a lot of different key stakeholders in FIFA, CONCACAF, and U.S. soccer played a role along the way. Of course, COVID was in the middle of this whole thing, and that kind of made it difficult to get together in person or even to hold soccer matches. But once we were able to get through that, we had a full team of people from FIFA come to Houston in October and get to look at our city inside and out.
Yeah, and for 2026, hopefully it's going to be working out really well. Can't wait for that. Initially I saw that you were working with the New Haven Ravens, I think the AA team of the Mariners and the Rockies, a while back, and you also played baseball in college. So how did you kind of transition into soccer? Like, how and why did you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I played baseball in college. That was my love. My first job in sports, if you will, was in minor league baseball, to the points you mentioned, the AA team in the Eastern League. So it was great working in baseball. That's how I got my start in this business. I was hoping to have a path where I would eventually become general manager of a Major League Baseball team. But I got contacted by the Major League Soccer team in New York, and they had a job opening, and I really didn't know too much about it, but I felt like it would be a good idea to go look into it and learn more. And I got really excited about what I heard, and I thought it would be a good opportunity for me personally to go from a small market like New Haven, Connecticut, to a big market in New York, where the games were played at the same stadium where the Jets and the Giants play, and the games were carried on the Madison Square Garden network, the same as the Knicks and the Rangers. So I felt like it was a step up to get into that market, and I thought, to be honest with you, that I was going to New York, even though I was working in soccer. My ultimate goal is to go work for the Yankees or the Mets or the Jets or the Giants or something. But really took a liking to soccer, enjoyed what I was doing, saw an opportunity to grow there, and ended up being there for 6 years. And then the Houston Dynamo were a startup franchise in 2006, and they invited me to come be part of their team as they built the organization, and came down to Houston in the Dynamo's first season, and that's where I've been since.
Yeah, it's a great journey. I think you've done amazing job as part of Major League Soccer. And you were the president for 8 years of the Dynamo. Really, I think you were the longest tenured president in MLS at that time. So, what were kind of the major roles and responsibilities of being the president at the time?
Sure. Well, when I was president of the Dynamo, I oversaw lots of different things. I saw the business side of the Dynamo, the soccer side of the Dynamo. When I was there, I created the Houston Dash, so I
Mhm.
oversaw the business side of the Dash and the soccer side of the Dash as well. We built and opened BBVA Stadium, Compass Stadium back in the day. It's called PNC Stadium now.
Yeah.
So I oversaw that as well, and we also had a practice facility that we ran and oversaw, and then we also had a nonprofit organization called Dynamo Charities. So as a president, I was involved and oversaw all of those things. It was quite a busy time and period, but a lot of fun. We had a lot of success along the way, and something that I'll always cherish and remember.
Yeah, I know it was a great moment at the Dynamo. Obviously, you were there since their inception in 2006. I think, during your time, they had 8 MLS playoff appearances, 4 finals, and 3 championships, including that Open Cup. So, if you could remember, like, what makes those championship teams very special?
Yeah, they were great teams. Pretty simple stuff. We had a great coach, Dominic Kinnear, legendary, probably soon to be Hall of Fame coach who led our team. We had fantastic players: Brian Ching, Brad Davis, Ricardo Clark. On and on the list goes. Bobby Boswell, Pat Onstadt, Stuart Holden, Dwayne. I mean, so many great players on that team. So good coach, good players. That's a good recipe for success. But they also love to compete and they love to win. And we had an awesome culture around the team as well. So it was wonderful. Winning the back-to-back cups in 2006 and 2007.
Yeah.
We almost made it back to the cup in 2008. We lost in kind of a tough way at LA in the conference championship game. And then we did make it back in 2011, 2012. Unfortunately, we ran into the LA Galaxy with David Beckham and Robbie Keane and Landon Donovan and had to try to take them on their field and couldn't overcome those things. And then to your point, in my final season there, we won the U.S. Open Cup in 2018, which was a nice thing to happen for the fans as well. So a lot of good success along the way, and a lot of good coaches and players that really were the reason why.
Yeah, that's obviously a big reason why the team effort is what ultimately leads the way. And initially, you were the chief operating officer, then you became the president. So how was that? How was that transition to? How did that
Yeah.
transition go?
Well, it was great. When we first started the club, Oliver Luck was the president. You may know Oliver. He played as a backup quarterback for the Houston Oilers and was a standout in college. And his son is Andrew Luck, the star quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. And so Oliver was a very prominent Houstonian and figure in the sporting world. He was running it when I got here, and he kind of asked me to step up and take on the day-to-day responsibilities of the organization. And so I got a great experience under Oliver, leading a lot of different things. And when he moved on to the NCAA, he went to be the athletics director at West Virginia. When he took that position, I was ready to step in, based on having done it all over the course of the time beforehand. But we had a great working relationship. Great opportunity for me to work beside him, and then take over the reins when he moved on.
Yeah, of course. And I think you did a great job as president. I think also the 2010 MLS All-Star game was here at NRG Stadium. It had a sellout of over 70,000. So how do you kind of promote that game? Because I think, we're still trying to make soccer, I would say, a little bit more, more people should like tune in. We still want more audience in attendance for soccer games. So how do you kind of promote that back in
Yeah,
2010?
it's a great question. So at that point, the Dynamo were in its 5th season of existence, and we stumbled across an opportunity to host an All-Star game in Houston because it was supposed to be in another city. but their stadium wasn't ready and available. So when we saw that opportunity to bring the game here, we thought big. We said we need to make this a spectacle. We
Yeah,
need to make this unlike anything else that's ever come to Houston. So we dreamed big. We wanted to have a one of the giants of international football come here to play, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man United, you name it. That was a difficult challenge in 2010 because it was a World Cup year, and it's hard to squeeze all these things in during a World Cup year. But we fought, and we like I said, we dreamed, and luckily we were able to land Manchester United to play the MLS All Stars, and clearly that's one of the biggest sports brands in the world.
yeah,
So having them here in Houston generated a massive amount of excitement amongst the community. Um, to the statistics you just said, 70,000 sold out. It ended up being the fifth largest All-Star game in American history for any sport at the time, and really set the tone for other MLS All-Star games going forward. Where big clubs came in after that: Chelsea, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, you name it, Arsenal's. So it was again another proud moment, another big moment in history in Houston sports and soccer, and something that I'm glad to have been a part of.
yeah. It was really big event, and bringing in a big team like Manchester United obviously changes the audience, and obviously everyone would want to attend that kind of big event. And we also helped manage a lot of different stuff like the development of what was BBVA Stadium where the Dynamo and Dash played. Now it's PNC Stadium. So how did you guys take like any inspiration from any other soccer stadiums? Because I think it has a really nice design.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we traveled around other new MLS stadiums. We traveled around the world to look at other classic stadiums, or around the same size as ours, and definitely drew inspiration from many different places, and tried to collect best practices. We had a team of architects on this as well who have designed and built other stadiums in the U.S. and around the world. But that was a real fun project. Something that I'll always be very proud of and remember. Opening day, May 12th, 2012. Just a beautiful scene, full house, and the Dynamo won on a Brad Davis goal late in the game, and it was just a ending of a perfect day.
Yeah.
And that's a great stadium. It's a great downtown stadium, and I know that the new ownership group of the Dynamo is doing a lot to continue to invest and make sure that stadium keeps up with the times and continues to advance. So yeah, it's a wonderful stadium.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And also, during the time you mentioned about how you created the Houston Dash as well, I think you also made a partnership with the Rio Grande Valley FC. So, I really love the Houston Dash. Big fans of them. Obviously, I saw them win the Challenge Cup in 2020. That was pretty awesome. So, how would you say the creation of the Dash came about? Because I
Yeah.
think the National Women's Soccer League was founded in 2012. The Dash joined in 2014. So, how did you get the idea?
Yeah, we saw the league in 2013, and it looked like it was something that had the potential to be awesome. So I felt it would be good for Houston to have a women's soccer team, and for the Houston Dynamo to have kind of a sister team, if you would,
Mhm.
that we could play in our stadium and collaborate on a lot of things together on. So I brought the idea forward to ownership about having a women's team, and reached out to members of the community to try to see if there would be interest in such a team here, and we got a very positive response
Yeah.
from fans, and that positive response actually helped ownership see the vision and confirm our ability to go forward and bring that team into the league in 2014. So yeah, I think it's great for Houston to have one of about a dozen professional women's teams that exist in this country right now. I think it's important. I have two daughters, and I think it's important that they have female role models that they can look up to in sports, not just on the men's side. And I think the Dash play a very important role there. And I think it's we want to grow the game of soccer in this community and in this country, and it's also important to have it on the men's and women's side. So I think there was a lot of great reasons why the Dash made sense. I'm glad that ownership eventually gave us the green light to move forward with it, and it's a great thing for our community, and it's only going to continue to get better over time.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think the dash are a really important aspect as part of soccer. And you've been part of the MLS for a long time with New York back then, and I mean, you've seen it grow. So, what more can be done to grow the league and the game of soccer here in the U.S.?
Yeah, look, the World Cup's going to play a big role in that in 2026. I think
Yeah.
there's, when the World Cup was last year, it was 1994, and nobody thought the World Cup could be successful in the United States, and we ended up having the most successful World Cup on record in 1994 with attendance and revenues and TV ratings and things like that nature. And the fact that the World Cup was played here in 1994 gave rise to Major League Soccer in 1996. So we wouldn't have had a pro league in this country probably without the World Cup having come here. But my point is that the World Cup created this opportunity to have a huge legacy in the game.
Mhm.
And with Major League Soccer coming in and now having been here for 25 years, and it's almost in 30 different cities now, and the impact that that's had on growing the game in this country, where little kids can dream now growing up to want to play for the Dynamo or the Portland Timbers or the New York Red Bulls or whatever it might be. So now we come to 2026, and the United States is a very mature soccer nation compared to where we were in 1994. We still have a long way to go. We still have growth, but when you look at how far we've come, and now that we've got the World Cup coming again, what that World Cup is going to represent to growing the game to an even bigger level, it's hard to even imagine how positive that's going to be. And it's going to help bring interest to soccer in the United States, in Houston, and other places, and that's going to just have a profound effect on helping Major League Soccer grow, and even the National Women's Soccer League grow and create lifelong fans into the future.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely hope it'll have that impact because I definitely want to see soccer become a major sport here. And I'm sure you still watch the Dynamo now. Do you have any thoughts on the season so far for them?
I do watch. They're hanging in there trying to fight for a playoff spot as we come down it seems like the final third of the season. New owner Ted Siegel is really in his first full season of operating the team. He's made a lot of changes. He's made a lot of investments and positive moves. Obviously, it's great to see Hector Herrera here, the Mexican
Yeah.
national team star. Pat Onstad is a Dynamo legend, and has earned an opportunity to be the GM of this team, and has made some good moves as well. So I think the team is pointed in the right direction. I see a lot of good things happening there, and I'm optimistic for the club's future. And hopefully they can have a good string of games down the stretch here and get back into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I definitely hope to. And would you ever consider like rejoining the Dynamo at all?
Oh, sure. Never say never, right? I love the Dynamo. I spent 13 years of my life there, and had a real passion for what we were doing. And so, yes, would never close the door on something like that.
Yeah,
No
that's
breaking. No, you're not breaking any news here today, but
yeah, I know.
that's the truth.
Yeah, well, that's really great to hear. And also, this is what I think it's really, I think, an amazing job that you've done. Just all the, I think, the incredible community service that you've done all over the U.S., especially here in Houston. But to really help communities after tragedies, whether that be the Santa Fe tragedy or the Sandy Hook Elementary, but and also helping recognize first responders who do amazing work here. And also in Houston, after Hurricane Harvey, we definitely needed a big response after that. So, I've interviewed JJ Watt, who's also done great community work, but I think just seeing your giving spirit and kindness to do all this, I think is really great. I always love seeing that. But tell me what inspires you to do this, because I think everyone knows it's a good thing to do, but ultimately many people don't necessarily take action. So, what's inspiration?
Yeah, well, thank you for saying all that. Here's how I see it. I think sports teams play a big role in a community, and obviously it would be great if bad things never happened, but
Mhm.
occasionally bad things happen, and there's so much because there's so much spotlight on a sports team, and a sports team can have so much impact. I think that's important that a sports team or people in sports like a JJ and others take action when they can, because they can be so impactful. So that's kind of my philosophy, and I'm fortunate enough to have been in positions where we have been able to take action and do things that make an impact. Whatever that impact is, sometimes it's just bringing a smile to someone's face, and other times it's, there's a financial element to it. But helping communities get through tough times, or people get through tough times, a sports team or a player can have such a massive impact. And so it's important to recognize that and understand that. But it also feels very good, to be honest with you, to use your platform
Yeah.
to help and to make an impact. So hopefully, by the way, with the World Cup, we're able to do that in massive ways going forward.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely love that mindset. And 19 seasons as MLS club executive. At I think 26, you became the youngest GM in baseball as well. So you've been really successful in team management roles. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to get into sports management?
Yeah. So here's the advice I would give. If you want to get into sports management, you don't necessarily need to take a sports management course or courses in school or major in it. It's great if you do. It doesn't hurt if you don't. But I encourage kids to take sports management if it's coursework that they're going to be interested in, excited about, and therefore you get good grades, right? Because you're interested in the subject matter. But what's actually more important than what you major in is, while in college, getting as many internship opportunities as possible, more than one. If you can get 2 or 3 internships during your college years, it does a couple of things. One is it obviously gives you experience and knowledge of the business. 2, it helps you learn about yourself and helps you understand what you like, what you don't like, where your interests may or may not lie as you move forward in your career. 3, it's a great resume builder, and it could help differentiate yourself from the competition when you've got 3 or 4, 2 or 3 or 4 experiences on your resume, and someone else has none or one. And then maybe the most important part of it is the contacts that are made during those internships, the people that you meet who have roles in the industry. It's important to keep those contacts alive, because they know people who know people who know people, and that's usually the key. Because when you get out of college and you're looking for a job, really in sports, really the most important thing is getting your foot in the door and starting at the bottom, and understanding that you have to take a gamble on yourself, where when you're not in you may not be in the perfect position from day one in sports, but you're going to work hard, you're going to do the right things, you're going to prove yourself, and you're going to advance and climb and move on and eventually get to the spot you want to get to. And I would say, on the flip side, it's awfully hard for someone to get a job in sports if they don't start right out of college. It's really hard to go 4 or 5 years, be an accountant, a teacher, a financial advisor, a banker, whatever it is, and then to say, oh man, I wish I got into sports back, I want to try now, because you don't really have the experience, and other people are coming up through the ranks, right? And it's tough to move in. So get that college experience through internships. Right after college, get the entry level job, get your foot in the door, and be willing to sacrifice, work hard, and eventually move your way up. And that's what I did. I started off as a clubhouse attendant, washing uniforms and cleaning the bathrooms, and I had baseball bats and bags of balls in the back of my little Honda, and baseball helmets, and it was kind of the equipment guy, but that was the only job they would give me, and you have to start somewhere. So those would be my words of advice to people who want to get in.
Yeah, that's really great advice. Definitely appreciate that. And I just have a comment for you. So I've interviewed Fafa Pico and Tim Parker from the Dynamo, and so I went to Houston Sports Park. That's where they practice and stuff. So that's I think that was a really great facility that you helped, you know, help build, and it's really nice over there. So
Yeah, it's a great place. Yeah, I don't know, those guys are good players, obviously.
yeah,
But the Houston Sports Park was built around 2012, and it's obviously the practice home of the Dynamo and the Dash, but it's also has fields there that the community gets to utilize, and I know there's plans to keep growing that, both on the Dynamo and Dash side, and even from the community side, so that we can bring more youth and amateur events here to Houston in the years to come. So again, another project that I was excited and proud to be a part of, and enjoy watching its continued expansion and growth.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely really great. And, thank you so much, Chris, for the time today. I really, really appreciate it. And thanks for joining the show and speaking with me.
Thanks for inviting me on, and stay in touch, and we'll continue to talk about soccer and World Cup in the future.